Okay, let's get building. That was probably the worst way to open this box. Let's see how easy this is. Okay, so I think I'm actually missing something. Okay, so I got the parts. So my previous desk setup was the Ekbacken countertop table on top of an Alex drawer and a trestle from Ikea. And I did love the arrangement, but because it was lighter, it didn't really match the whole darker workspace aesthetic that I was going for. So I went for the Ekbacken countertop table again, but this time in a concrete finish to match a darker aesthetic. I went for the Ekbacken countertop table because I found that it was really sturdy and it was reliable for me, and it was a very solid table, and it wasn't as expensive as a Carlby countertop table, which you see most people use for these Ikea desk setups. As for the table support, I ditched the Alex drawers and opted in for an actual table underframe. So I went for a grey Idasen table underframe. Having an underframe means it gave the table proper support, rather than having only 2 points of support on either side of the table, which typically created that center sagging on most of these Ikea desk setups. The underframe is 146 centimeters wide and the table is 186 centimeters, which made me wonder if the table was a bit too wide for the underframe. But the underframe holds up the kitchen countertop table pretty well. And because of the weight of the kitchen countertop table, I found I didn't really need to bolt the table to the underframe. But yeah, the underframe is a pretty easy build, but I also found it very tricky just because of the heavy metal parts and the bolts. So I did struggle with that a little bit, as you can see. So I do suggest having a second person there helping you out just to make it even easier. Okay, now let's take a tour of what's actually on the desk itself. So the monitor I have behind me is a Samsung 4K 32-inch space monitor. Now I love the Samsung space monitor because the built-in arm is a clamp which you clamp onto the edge of the table. It gives this floating look, and the arm allows you to adjust the monitor to however you want, so it still gives you a lot of space under the monitor, hence space monitor. I love it, and I love the size of the 32-inch monitor as it's enough real estate for me for coding and video editing. I also find that a single monitor is more aesthetically pleasing and more minimal than having two dual monitor setups. So the keyboard I use is the Keychron K3 wireless Bluetooth keyboard, and I love it. I can't believe I only recently made a switch to wireless peripherals because they keep the desk clutter-free and wire-free, which keeps everything to a minimal and looking clean. The one thing I do regret of the keyboard is that it doesn't have the numpad, which I ended up missing, and I realized how useful a numpad actually is. So if I were to change anything, I would probably go for a larger Keychron keyboard. Other than that, this keyboard is perfect, and of course you know how to get it in grey just to match the whole aesthetic. And really quickly, if you're wondering, the other keyboard looking thingy is the Davinci Resolve speed editor. And now I video edit on Davinci Resolve, so this came with a full version of Davinci. And as the name suggests, it does speed up my editing because there are dedicated buttons for certain functions, and I just love this little wheel thingy. It just makes me feel so professional. And the mouse that I use for the setup is the Logitech MX Master 3, and of course in charcoal grey. And I did actually initially hesitate on whether I spend loads on this mouse, but turns out it's worth it. Now this mouse can connect up to 3 different devices, and you can switch via the button below. So I switch between my work laptop, my PC and my TV with just a flick of a button, and that makes multitasking so much easier. For lighting up the workspace, I previously used the Philips Hue play bars, which I found was so awesome. But since getting a TV, I moved that over to the TV entertainment area, and then I ended up getting the Philips Hue strip lights. Now, the one thing about the standard Philips Hue strip lights is it can only show one color at a time, compared to me having 3 play bars on the desk setup at once, which gave 3 different colors at once. So I do kind of miss playing around with the colors in the workspace. There actually is a gradient version of the Philips Hue strip lights, but it also comes at 3 times the price. So personally, I don't think it was worth enough for me to get it. So I have the standard Philips Hue strip lights and they work pretty well. So for sound, I have these Logitech speakers, which I actually don't know the name of from the top of my head because I got them as a gift, but they are here if you're wondering, and I find these are good enough for me. Like, I'm not an audiophile, so I'm not really too concerned about sound, and they're pretty good enough for me, and they get loud enough for what I need. So for headphones wise, I have the Sony XM4s, which are Bluetooth, and I love them. They are actually really good quality, and I've never really had Bluetooth over ear headphones before, and the noise cancellation is amazing. So I use that for the gym or when I'm taking a train to London. And I got this cute little stand for it from Amazon, which was pretty cheap and looks pretty good. Now for the workhorse and centerpiece of the setup is my PC. My PC specs are as follows. So for the PC case, I use the NZXT H510 Elite, and of course in black to match the dark workspace. So for the CPU, I use a Ryzen 7 3700X, which I find is powerful enough for what I do. And for the graphics card, I was actually lucky enough to win a raffle for the RTX 3080 Ti, which is way more graphics power than I would normally use. But I do find it helps me a lot when I'm doing graphics heavy stuff for my videos. And of course it's the Founders Edition, which I think is the best looking of the bunch. And look how nice this dark metallic grey looks on the setup. Now, even though I'm a PC user, my secondary device is the iPad Pro 12.9 inch. And I recently got the iPad Magic Keyboard for it, just to help it give that more of a laptop feel. And it's a very good Bluetooth keyboard. Expensive, but very good for the iPad. And it pretty much brought back my iPad back to life. Also in the workspace, I have the Ikea Scadis pegboard, which unfortunately only came in white and brown, which of course doesn't match the setup. So what I did was I brought the white pegboard as well as the accessories, and I just spray painted it matte black, which turned out really good. And I am so happy with it, as you can see. So I put little trinkets there, so cables, gadgets, chargers, batteries, all sorts. Cable management wise, I am not the best at cable management, but what I did end up using was these little sticky clips. I don't really know what they're called, and I stick them underneath the table and feed the wires through them. And I find that gives me pretty good cable management. A new addition to the setup and to the side of the workspace is I brought a 55-inch TV. It's the Samsung Q70A QLED TV, and I used that as my entertainment device. I did find a 32-inch monitor, which is a bit too small for watching movies and playing the PS5, so I brought the 55-inch Samsung TV, and I find it is amazing. And of course I had to get a dark TV bench for it. This is the Ikea Fialbo TV console, and it is awesome. It's sturdy, it's sleek, and it just fits into the workspace really well. And it matches the Fialbo shelf that was already there, which holds my cameras, my bags, some clothes, and my face care. Another part of the workspace is an Ikea Hovet mirror, which is almost 2 meters tall. I love it because it's massive and it gives a lot of real estate to look at yourself in the mirror. It helps make the space feel much larger than it normally is. And yeah, it's a lot of mirror real estate, so you can look at all sorts, whatever that means. So that's pretty much it for the desk setup. It's a lot of grey and dark aesthetics. But yeah, so if tech comes in black, grey or charcoal, best believe that it's going to be put on this setup. But yeah, thanks guys for watching, and until next time, peace.